The final film in the SPUMC Spunk, I don't know, or I guess now the SSU, who cares? Sony's sad attempt at a cinematic universe, if you could even call it that, is finally coming to a close with Kraven the Hunter, and it's out now. Kraven the Hunter follows Sergei Kravinoff, a man who got superpowers when lion blood dripped into an open wound, then later goes by Kraven and uses his powers to kill bad guys, I guess, until one fears that he'll be next and goes after Kraven himself. It isn't saying much, but I have not enjoyed any of these movies in any capacity, not even the Venom films. Like, I know some people like them, I just can't get into them, they're not my thing, but I'm gonna have more to say on this dumbass universe a little bit later. So, for Kraven the Hunter, I had zero expectations. I thought, maybe there'll be some things that are bad enough that I could, laugh at. Or with the R rating, maybe there's some fun action. But this movie is so fucking boring. So boring. And there's nothing in here. Nothing. Not a single thing that I could look at and be like, at least that was good. Nothing in here is good. Nothing. Some of the action was alright, I guess, but none of it was really cutting it for me. There's this big chase scene, and you would think, okay, surely the chase scene, that's gotta be pretty fun, right? Nah, not really. Even though I didn't care for most of the action, and the stuff I did care for, mostly towards the end, it was alright. I still feel like the film needed more action, and that's probably because the stuff in between the action sequences was so boring that it felt like an eternity to get to something that was even a little bit engaging. So that's probably why, but I mean, more action would have helped, at least a little bit. The writing in general ranged from complete ass to completely forgettable at best. There were a few big exposition dumps and some pretty bad dialogue throughout, with some not great performances. Most of the actors seemed like they were trying their best with what they were given, and most of them were passable. But the guy that played the Rhino, Alessandro Nivola, was pretty bad. There's this one scene where his character's mad or whatever, because I guess Kraven got away. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I guess he tried doing a growl or something with his throat. I don't know what he was going for. I mean, he literally did this. He was leaning over, and he went, oh, oh. Alright, so we gotta find him. And just went back like everything was normal. And I had to take a second. I was like, what the fuck was that? Who gave this guy even the option to do that? If you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. He literally, what the fuck? The story in general here is so weak and kind of a mess. Stuff just kind of happens just because. And then Rhino decides to try and kill the hunter before he can kill them. And I guess that's where the actual plot begins. Also, there's way too much time spent in the past with a younger Kraven. I understand you want to set up how he got where he is now, but it just kept going on. And that wasn't the only thing that went on and on. The ending, the bad guys lose, okay, then there's an epilogue that gives you an answer to a dumbass twist that was kind of pointless. They set it up 10 seconds earlier, and then they give you the answer, and it's okay. And then there's another epilogue, and that thing goes on forever. And then that leads into another scene, and then the movie's over. Oh my god. Aside from the first one being super long, the last two scenes seemed okay, those were post-credit scenes that they moved before the credits because they knew nobody would stick around. And that makes sense because there's no post-credit scenes otherwise. So yeah, once again, one of these movies tries so hard to set something up that's never going to happen, but it did give us the funniest part of the whole movie, this horrible CGI face on one of the characters. Oh my god, that shit was hilarious. That was actually funny. So yeah, this Sony villain universe ends without a single win. Even if you're someone who enjoys the Venom films, you most likely view them as dumb fun, and that's it. I'm honestly shocked that Sony ever thought this was a good idea, and maybe this is something that could work even without Spider-Man appearing at all, but oh my god, how do you manage to make such garbage? It takes effort to be this bad. Seriously, I don't understand. The whole thing from the very beginning was just pathetic, and they kept going. Every time they announced they were going to make another movie, I was shocked that they had the confidence to keep making movies. Like, bruh, they were going to make an El Muerto movie. What? We've seen failed attempts at setting up a universe before, whether it's plans being announced that amount to nothing, or a post-credit scene that goes nowhere, like in a lot of these movies. But I don't think we've ever seen one where they kept making movie after movie, regardless of how bad they were. And I don't want to hear anybody bring up the DCEU, because there are some pretty good ones in there, even if they did go on a streak of not so good ones. DCEU, you can't even compare it. But even as far as money, yeah, the first 2 Venom movies made a lot, but with 2 huge bombs and a 3rd one on the way, there's really no other word than pathetic to describe this whole thing. It's honestly been kind of depressing having to sit through this garbage that they try to pass off as films and thinking about what could have been, but it's finally over. It's finally over until they inevitably decide to try to do it again, because, I mean, they're probably gonna. But for now, it's over. And it's been said, but R.I.P. Vulture, like, what the fuck? Brought my guy to the shitverse, left his ass for dead. Who knows what they're gonna do with that, if anything, but I don't know. I mean, hopefully we get him back somehow. Anyway, go see this if you want to, or go do literally anything else. But if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts. Please subscribe if you want to hear me talk about video games, movies, TV, or go watch some of my older videos. I really appreciate you watching. I hope you'll stick around. Thank you.